Where is the conference?
It's at Industry City of Brooklyn.
I have not been over there yet, but I've heard it's pretty
Okay.
spectacular.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like huge. Yeah, send me the hotels. I
Okay.
may or may not know
I'll
them,
do
but
so.
yeah, we should get. I probably can't come to the summit, but just get a coffee or something.
Okay.
Lunch.
I'm gonna come in the day before.
Okay, awesome. Are you driving? You driving in or are you taking a train
I'm gonna
or a
take the
bus?
train. Train. Yeah. Um,
I love the graphics you guys created. They're so cute.
It's all Jill.
Jill, you need to
Yeah.
say thank you.
Thank you.
We've had a lot of fun with building the retail playground brand. With UpNext, it's like a lot more neutral. And with the playground, obviously, the name
Yeah,
lends itself to fun and playfulness.
it's so fun.
And you've been doing awesome things with your community. I like loved the Zoom that you did, although I was in the car. I couldn't really interact, but
Oh,
like
good. I'm
the
glad
way
you
that you ran it
joined.
was fantastic.
Thank you. I'm gonna do more. I'm gonna relaunch like reopening Health Club Collective in April. So I'm gonna
Oh,
host some
cool.
more. Would love to have you. Would love to have you all.
Oh, I would love
Yeah,
to check that out. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a great approach. What platform do you use
Yeah.
For my emails or for
for the community itself?
it's on Squarespace. I host it
Oh,
on my
really?
website.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I
Okay.
created it like a few years ago before they even had their course option. Now they have like a whole
Mhm.
courses option, which I'll probably like move it over there at some point. But yeah, it works. It's great.
That's
Oh, it's
awesome.
It's
fantastic.
all you can brand it exactly like your website. So it's like all very consistent, which is why I haven't done it on like Kajabi or something like that. Like, I don't know. Aesthetic is important to me.
Well, we had to rebuild build an entirely new website on Kajabi in
Yeah.
addition. So now we have a Squarespace website, a Kajabi website, and a custom website for Project Pop-Up for another part of the
It's a
business.
lot. It's a lot to
A lot.
manage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It's a
So
lot to
that's
manage.
smart.
Yeah, I
Keep
host it
it
on my
tight.
website. I'm like simplicity, right? Like I got to keep everything as simple as possible. I had
Yeah,
my
just what you
emails
think.
on Squarespace too, but I like recently migrated over to ConvertKit or Kit. It was rebranded as Kit.
Oh, I feel like I've
Mhm.
heard really good things about that.
It's great. It's great. It has so many capabilities. I really love it. It's super user friendly. I like it a
Oh.
lot.
We use Flowdesk, which is great for
Okay,
kind of
yeah, no, I've
design
heard
and
really good things about
aesthetic,
that too. Yeah, the aesthetic.
but
Oh,
that's kind of
let's
the
see. I just got a message from Alex that they need a passcode to get in.
oh no.
Um,
I'll find it. Also, can you
okay.
guys hear the music that I'm playing?
Nope.
No.
No.
What? Okay, that's good to know.
Today's
I'm just
message
jamming
that's
over here.
Natalie.
um oh,
I just got a
so
message from someone that they'll be late, but they're planning on
okay.
coming.
So let's see if we can remove the passcode altogether and then email everyone to say if you tried it, just try again. Is that an option?
Is they should be able to click the link and they shouldn't have any problems. But I will go in and see what I can do.
Okay.
So I
I'll
can
post
just
in the
say
playground.
they can try to just click the refresh.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
not, the passcode is 838. Well, let me just unenable that. There you go. Disable that. Whatever. Okay.
Unenable it.
Unenable. Okay, there's some people coming.
Okay.
Oh, there she is. That was Alex.
Hello, hello. Hi, Alex. Thanks for coming. We're giving people a couple minutes because of
Yeah.
technical challenges.
Yeah, it said there was a passcode and I just used UpNext, I guessed, and it was right. So
What?
Yeah, but there's like a Zoom passcode to get into the meeting, so I don't know if people can't get in. I just
So
guessed.
I don't,
uh,
that's strange. I don't think that is the passcode, but maybe.
Maybe you just
you
wanted
you
something.
Yeah.
yeah, I was
I
gonna
didn't
say
know
you
you were
signed
human.
in just as I was going to send you a message. I was like, we'll chat when
Okay.
she gets on.
I was like, I'm just gonna guess. I don't know.
pad for about another hour. I'm going to check it probably every 20 minutes though to make sure it's not overheating. You want to be able to touch it.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning, almost afternoon. All right. All right, what do you guys think? Should we get started? And anyone who pops on after can get up to speed. We can interact and make it work. Yes.
I think that
I
sounds
know
good.
everyone's time is limited. So good morning, welcome. I am so excited to have Lindsey Kaszuba joining us from New York, live from New York. It's Monday morning, and I've been really looking forward to this for quite a while now. I knew when we were launching the playground, Lindsey, that you were one of the speakers that would be someone we'd really be honored to have in the mix. Lindsey and I first crossed paths several years ago. I remember it actually pretty vividly. I was doing some construction on my house. I was living at my in-laws. I felt like my life was completely upside down. And late one night, I found her content online and just sort of started binging because, Lindsey, we haven't heard your voice yet, but you have this very soothing voice and presence. And you had an offering at the time where it was like a membership base, and I had the ability to, on my own schedule, listen to your words of wisdom about approaching your health and your life. And it all really resonated with me because it is such an organic approach. It's like really about fitting it into your lifestyle and listening to your body. And I feel like that's so different than what has historically been out there. And so I've really enjoyed following along your newsletter and all of your different resources as your business has grown and evolved. So I'm going to stop talking and let you take it away. But Lindsey, welcome. I'm going to pass the platform over to you. Welcome to the Retail Playground. We have a great community here of founders who will be joining and hopefully interacting for today's session. And we will share the recording and resources you're providing after as well.
Amazing. Thank you. That was like the best intro I've ever had. That's amazing. I am so, so excited to be here with you guys. I'm going to share my screen because I have a little presentation for you. But I am thrilled to be here. I don't know if any of you guys had registered for our original date. If you did, I'm so sorry. I got like completely wiped out by the stomach bug and was like, you know what, I'm going to try to do it. I'm going to try to do it. And then I just was like, this is not a good idea. I can't do it. So thank you for rescheduling. I really appreciate it. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Amazing. So this is coming at a timely time. Really, one of, just like Allison said, really one of my kind of approaches and how I differ a lot from a lot of coaches in the wellness space is really talk about how you can create really simple and realistic wellness habits in your life that actually feel good for you, that are really simple to implement. And so that's really kind of what we're going to focus on today, as we get into why resolutions might not be the best approach to creating sort of the habits in your life. So before we do that, a little bit about me. This is my family. We live in New York City. My husband and I have been married for 10 years, which is wild. My oldest is 6. Little spicy firecracker is my 4-year-old, and the baby is a year and a half. And we are in New York City. We just moved into a new apartment on Friday. So my life has been a little bit of a whirlwind. So a lot of what I'm talking about you today, I am like, okay, let's get back to all the habits because, well, moving with 3 kids is a wild journey. So a little bit about why I'm here talking to you is a little bit like Allison said, is I really specialize in helping women stop fighting their bodies so much and stop really listening to all of the things that we're told we should be doing in our health and our wellness, and really start focusing on what actually feels good to you and how you can implement in a really simple way that actually fits your life in this current season. And that's really kind of my specialty, is teaching you how to really tap into that guidance and that inner wisdom of what feels really good and how, and really kind of also teaching you how to implement it in your real life instead of a hypothetical situation of this might work because it worked for my friend or the influencers I follow on social. And so it's really a real life approach, which I think is very helpful. It's been very helpful in my own life. And I really kind of take a habit focused approach because I think we'll talk about this in a little bit, but I think the habits that you do is really what creates the future version of you. And so if when you start focusing on that, it really starts to kind of create this ripple effect in the rest of your days. What really kind of led me to launching my business is Lindsey Kaszuba Health, and I launched it about 4 years ago. It was kind of a lifetime coming, and really just 4 years ago it came to fruition, and I figured out how to do it in a way that felt really simple and good for me in my life. I really always had a curiosity and an interest and kind of always wanted to know more about all of the things in health and wellness. I always kind of really enjoyed working out and moving my body and experimenting with foods, and then as I went through high school and got into college, it kind of teetered on the line of not so healthy anymore and still an experiment, but really started to teeter on the side of obsessiveness with the numbers on the scale, the size pants I was wearing, just the numbers. And when it got to that point, I didn't even really realize at the time that I really had tied so much of my worth to those numbers. And it didn't really kind of hit me full force until I had my oldest daughter, who is now, she just turned 6 in October. And it was really just, I remember standing on the scale, looking at the number, being so disappointed with my, postpartum scale on the number on the scale. And really, I realized that my life was worth so much more than the number on the scale. And I really wanted to undo all of that obsessiveness because I didn't want her to, you could really kind of assume that's how women treat their bodies. And so now it is even more important because I have 3 girls and it is like my really number one priority in my home personal life to teach them to listen to their bodies. And that is really, we are not a fan of the clean plate club over here. And there's a lot of conditioning that I've had to undo from my own upbringing that I will not be passing on to them because I really want them to have this inner wisdom wins mentality. And so that's really kind of a bit of background about why I've launched my business and kind of how I help people. And really, I think you'll see throughout what I talk about is everything I talk about, everything I teach my clients, everything I teach the members in Health Club Collective, which is what Allison was referring to, is what I do in my own life. It is how I've healed myself. It is how I've healed clients. It is how I've healed family. And it is really what I'm extremely passionate about. So that's a little bit about me. If you guys have any questions about that, I love to talk about all things health and wellness, and I'm an open book. So ask me everything. So a little bit about what to expect before we hop into it. Oh, and also if you can have a pen and paper handy, we're going to do a little bit of writing. So just have that. Great. Allison, you're on it. So we're going to talk a little bit about what is the real problem with resolutions. It's what we're all pretty much taught we need to do when we go into a new year. So we're going to talk about what the real problem with it is, what is a better approach to it. I'm going to help you, which is where you'll need the pen and paper. I'm going to help you create your 2025 action plan for really creating habits that feel good for you, that are simple, that fit into your life. So we will really kind of detail it out so that you have a plan, because without a plan, you don't know where to start. And then we'll talk about how you can really integrate all of that in a really simple and realistic way. And of course, we will have time for questions at the end. I also will happily stop throughout and answer questions throughout. So if you have questions on something that I'm talking about, I see there's already something in the chat. Oh, welcome. Just pop it in the chat. And when we get to a stopping point, I will happily answer those questions. Okay. So I kind of touched on this, but if you, I know Allison is, if you are in my community anywhere, on my email list, on my website, and my Instagram, I talk about this all the time. Our future is a byproduct of our daily habits. And so if you think about the habits that you are doing today in that way, it will really help you sort of say, okay, well, maybe I should have this instead of this. I should eat this instead of eat the quick energy fuel like candy. I should go for a quick walk. And then if you start thinking about the things that you're doing today and how they affect you tomorrow and in the next week and in the next year and really the rest of your life, you start to want to build better habits, because if you feel better today, you're going to feel better tomorrow. And so it's really just kind of this ripple effect, which you'll see in the rest of what I'm talking about is just focus on the right now and the habits that you're doing today. And the rest of it sort of just starts to fall in place when you start to reconnect it all. So I would love to know, and this will kind of help me guide with the rest of the workshop. What is one health goal that you have? It could be for 2025. It could be even shorter. It could be for today, this week, this month. What is one health goal? And you'll see why just one, but just pick kind of what is most important to you to really focus on improving and implementing. And you can put it in the chat if you want, or you can come off mute. Make movement more of a habit. This is the year of movement, Allison. I did a Health Club Collective call 2 weeks ago, and movement was the number one. Consistent movement was the number one goal. Moving my body more. Okay, great. Just gotta fit it in when it feels like something else is always more pressing on my schedule. We'll talk about that. Okay, great. You can keep increase. Okay, protein intake. Awesome. Keep them coming in. I'm going to keep going because there's a lot of stuff and I want to make sure we get to it all. Okay, so let's talk about the problem with resolutions. We all sort of know this, but it's different when you see the numbers. We've all, literally everyone, including myself, have set New Year's resolutions and have not reached them. I mean, who in this room has set a resolution and already is like, it's done? The one of the problems is I saw the statistic and I was like, well, this is wild when you see it. You think about it and you're like, well, people just don't stay with resolutions, but only 25% of people stick with New Year's resolutions after 30 days. So by now, 25%. That is wild. And a big reason why is they're so vague. We're like, we want to move more. And for all you movers, okay, we have some more. Let me read this book quick so I can. Protein movement. Oh, neck and shoulder pain, strength. Okay, great. So a lot of you are on the same page. So, and I'm going to help create this plan so that you know exactly where to start. When we say we want to move more, or we want to eat healthier, or we want to be more mindful, that is extremely vague. It is very big. It is a huge undertaking a lot of times, especially if you don't have a movement practice or you don't have a mindfulness practice and you don't really eat healthy. It is a big, vague, broad undertaking. They're not realistic. We try to say, okay, well, our friend goes to the gym every morning at 6 a.m. So I'm going to go to the gym every morning at 6 a.m. and I'm going to run and I'm going to do the elliptical and I'm going to fit in some strength training and then I'm going to do a spin class. There's all of these things. And we try to do them because maybe someone we admire or a coworker, it works for them. And so we're like, we're going to do it for us. But it's not realistic for our lifestyle. And that is a number one thing that it's not going to work. Probably doesn't feel good. So even if movement is of course important, but say you're forcing yourself to do the Peloton every morning. Does it actually feel good for you? I have a funny story about my own movement practice that I'll talk about in a little bit. Is I was forcing myself into doing all of these spin classes and they didn't actually feel good. When I really took a step back and was like, okay, why am I doing these? I'm like, I hate them. Makes me feel like I'm failing. And I don't actually feel good after. And so that is a big piece of why we don't stick with resolutions is they're big, they don't fit in our life, and they don't actually feel good. So why would we actually want to stick with them? And then when you factor in the unrealistic part, our schedule just doesn't allow, Allison. Like really, there's so many other priorities. How can you squeeze it in? Part of it is a lack of planning. Is I want to move, I'm going to go in the morning and I'm going to go to this gym. Okay, but that is also very big. So it's really like simply planning it out, and we'll talk about this in the and how to integrate, is having the support system. It could be having some sort of accountability. It could be, maybe it's a star chart that you put on your refrigerator and I did my movement today. It is creating some sort of systems for yourself that really is a self check-in. And the all or nothing mentality is my favorite, because we say we're going to move 3 times a week and I'm going to go to the gym or I'm going to do my Peloton bike. And then when you don't do it once, you're like, well, it's done. I failed. And you stop doing it altogether. We've all been there, everyone. So it's that mentality that really needs to start shifting to, I'm showing up for myself no matter what that looks like. And it's just a little bit of a mental shift and a little mental juggle until you get there. And then 8%, this was crazy to me. 8% in a year actually achieve their goals. And that's pretty wild when you think about it. Only 8% of people. So those are a lot of reasons. There's many more, but those are a lot of reasons why we just don't stick with them. Not that we can't, we just haven't set ourselves up for success. And then there is the whole emotional toll, the mindset of new year, new you, which I think is insane. Why do we have to be a new you every single year? We don't. We don't have to be. And the pressure of that, especially coming off of the holidays, is too much. It's too much to handle. Should you keep growing? Can you improve yourself? Yes, of course. But that doesn't mean a whole new you every single year. That is also a really big undertaking. So it's really just all of these things kind of combined make us feel like we are the problem, like we are the failure. We are putting ourselves in a tiny little box, and then we are curious why it's just not working. It's because we don't all fit in the same box. And so it's really, when you start to have that kind of mindset about it, is let's use all of these recommendations and these suggestions, and the calorie intake we should have in a day, and the different grams of fiber and protein and how we should move. Let's take it with a grain of salt and really start checking in with ourselves to see how all those things are feeling for us, because that's really the fail safe. And that's what's going to give you more motivation, give you more confidence. Does anyone have questions on any of this? Nothing in the chat. Okay, so I think a better approach is, and I love this little emoji because it's like the necessities, the little basics. That's always like kind of perfect for this. So a better approach is really where we start talking about sustainable wellness habits. It's where we start talking about simplicity, and what really makes something sustainable is it's simple and it fits into your schedule and it feels good. So if you start to think about your day and really boiling it down to what can be more simple and focusing on the basics. I know that sounds kind of boring sometimes, like focus on the sleep, focus on the hydration, focus on the nutrition, focus on movement. You don't have to do all of those things at one time. That's not simple. But really focusing on perfecting for you in your life those basics and what that looks like and what that feels like for you is the best place to start. Because if you're trying to build on a movement practice that doesn't exist, you got to create the foundation first, and then you build, and then you can really grow it from there. But it is really pulling it back and kind of taking, like, analyzing your life, which you probably do for your business, which you definitely do for your business. Where can improve, and how can you do that in a really simple way that actually works? Sorry if you hear the baby cry. She's cute. So really starting to kind of create these habits around each other that compound. And with that, I'm sure you guys have heard of habit stacking. Is everyone familiar with habit stacking? No? Okay. So habit stacking is a concept that was coined by, I think his name was S.J. Scott. He wrote a book, but James Clear, which many of you probably heard of, wrote this book called Atomic Habits. If you have not read it, it is an excellent book. I also really love his email newsletter. It is one of the few that I really look forward to getting every week. It is short and simple, and he just has little blurbs from his book in there that are so impactful. And if I do not have time to read it, I leave it unread in my mailbox until I can get to it. You know that's good. So you should go join his list. It's amazing. But he talks a lot about
I
habit
do that with
stacking.
your newsletter, Lindsay.
Oh, good. Oh, that's amazing. Makes me so happy. I love writing my newsletter. It's like a highlight of my week. So habit stacking is really where you take a habit that is already existing and you add a habit that you want to create, that you want to do. So it's really the existing habit becomes a trigger for the new habit. And so that's a habit stacking. You're just adding a habit to one that you already do. So if you want to, in S.J. Scott's book, or is it BJ Fogg? In one of these habit stacking books, they say, I want to create a flossing routine. And he was like, but I don't want to just floss my teeth because I know in 2 days I'm going to quit because I hate flossing my teeth. So he started with a single tooth and he started doing it before his shower. And so he stacked his shower with flossing. And he was like, I did one tooth, I did 2 teeth, I did 3 teeth. And then every day he just did one more until it just became a habit. But his shower was a trigger for flossing. And so that will really help you. It's sort of an anchor to create a habit that you want to do. So if you want, I had a client that really wanted to have breakfast before she had caffeine so she could balance her blood sugar a little bit better. So she was like, doesn't I can't, I just can't. I have my coffee first. I don't want to make all this breakfast. So I was like, okay, let's do something really simple. And she was like, I really enjoy eating protein bars. And I was like, great, put the protein bar on top of your coffee machine so that in order to get to your coffee, you have to have the protein bar first. And so she was like, okay, great idea. So she started doing that. And in a week, I texted her and I was like, okay, tell me how it's going. And she was like, oh my God. She had done that every single day. Now, granted, like you can have a better breakfast, but again, you start simple. She started having that protein bar before her coffee every day. She had more sustainable energy throughout the afternoon. She was full. She wasn't snacking as much. She didn't need a 3 p.m. cup of coffee. She wasn't napping at 3 p.m. She had more sustainable energy because she was setting herself up for success. And so that is one habit stack. Now, wellness pairing is another thing that is sort of a newer, I don't know who coined it. It's a TikTok thing right now. Like there's kind of a TikTok trend going around about it. Wellness pairing is when you add two habits together so that their benefits compound. And so think meditation and journaling. When you add the two together, they're more powerful than if you were to do them separately. So that's wellness pairing, and that's how they're sort of different from each other. Habit stacking, you're adding one habit to the other. Wellness pairing, you're adding two together to create a bigger benefit. So these two concepts are really easy ways to create new habits that actually fit into your life because you're probably already doing them in some way. It's just pairing them in a little bit different way. And so it really just helps make that new habit that you want to create the default habit and really simply add it in. Does anyone have questions about that? Or I can give you some more specific habits. Yeah, Atomic Habits by James Clear. Great book.
I would love some other examples of wellness pairing. It's the first time I've heard of it.
Wellness pairings. Okay. So the like meditation and journaling is a really great one. When you meditate and then you journal and you brain dump your thoughts right after, like the things that come out, it just helps reset your nervous system. It helps create. Honestly, that's how Health Club Collective was created. I meditated on it and then I journaled and it just like brain dumped out of me and then I created it. So there's really a lot of, especially as entrepreneurs, a lot of creativity can flow out of you that way. A lot of ideas can flow out of you that way. Another one is like you're doing your skincare routine and listen to a podcast or an audio book. The two of them together, just there's something, at least for me, there's something about it where it just makes my skincare more fun. And like, I'm like, ooh, this is great. I'll listen to I'm very into human design right now. So I'll listen to a human design podcast while I'm doing my skincare. So just kind of creating these habits together that just feel better together so that they grow. Is that helpful, Allison? Love these. Okay, amazing, great. So then it's really, and this is really kind of where I differ from a lot of wellness people in the wellness world is I think it's most about figuring out what is most important to you. And it really could stop there. You can create all of these other things around you, but if what you're doing to create them doesn't actually feel good for you, it's not going to last. It really doesn't matter. If it's not going to actually improve you, it doesn't matter. Your dynamic duty is dishes in an audiobook. Yeah, exactly. It's a mindful, that's like doing dishes can kind of be like this mindfulness practice. So really figuring out what is important to you, what feels good to you. How is your body? And we'll talk about this in a little bit about like actually how to literally tap into what your body needs and what it's saying to you is how did your body communicate with you? And when you start to listen to it and you start to understand, and it's a practice, and you start to trust that guidance and that wisdom and what it's telling you, that's where it all changes. That's where all of this starts to just become simpler. It starts to become easier. You start to want to do it because it truly feels good to you. Because you could go on the Peloton every single day, and if it's not feeling good to you and you're forcing yourself to get there, you're not even going to get the same results that if it actually was really feeling good for you. If you're doing something movement wise that feels good for your body, gives you energy, gives you strength, gives you all of the fun things, gives you joy, like they all pair together. So it really is so much more about that. Like that is the starting point, is start figuring out you and what is important to you. Okay, let's see. Doing them in silence. Yeah, I don't have much silence in my house with 3 kids. The silence would be amazing. So this is where we're going to have our pen and paper. So if you have your pen and paper handy, we are going to create your 2025 wellness action plan. So, and we're going to do it together. So if you have questions, put them in the chat and I can help you create it. So what we're going to do first is we're going to really clarify what's important to you. We are going to clarify what your intention is. Why did you join this call? What is your goal this year? When you think about all of this, think about your number one goal that a lot of you put it in the chat: movement, more protein, your number one goal. You can write that down at the top of your paper. And when you're thinking about this goal, really think about what does well-being feel like for you? What does that mean? Like, what does well-being mean for you? For me, it means having energy. I want energy from the moment my feet hit the ground to the moment I go to bed. I want energy to play with my kids. I want energy to be fully with my clients, show up for myself. I need energy to do all of the things that I want to do. Energy is a huge component of wellness for me. Strength is really big for me, and confidence. I need to be confident going into my day. I need to show up, and when I put an outfit on that I really like and I'm feeling myself today, it makes me more confident. When I walk out in the world and I feel the air on my face, it makes me more confident. So you really just, those are the 3 things for me. That's what wellness looks like: energy, strength, and confidence. Those are my top 3 priorities. So really think of what it feels like for you. What does wellness feel like for you? Or what do you want it? Maybe you don't feel how you want it to feel right now. What do you want wellness to feel like for you? And that'll really help you prioritize and start to think underneath the surface of what that goal looks like for you. So you're going to write your goal down. And then underneath it, we're going to create our roadmap. So we're going to create how we are actually going to reach that goal. So really, we're going to start to identify these small action steps that we can do every day. So these small habits that are going to create an impact on that goal. So for movement, if you want to move more, which many of you do, think of realistically for your schedule, small things that you can do every day that are going to get you towards that goal. Maybe it is, and I mean small, like if you do not have a movement practice right now, it could be buying a new pair of sneakers, buying a cute outfit that you feel like, hell yeah, I look good in this. I'm going to do my workout now. That's small. So it can really be something that is going to compound and really add on top of each other so that you can ultimately reach that goal. So it could be, if you prefer to go to a gym, it can be finding your gym. It can be, okay, what time of day actually realistically works for me to work out and do my movement practice? and some of it's an experiment. Play around with doing it in the morning. I have my sister-in-law, who's also a client. She goes to the gym at midnight, which is crazy. I don't recommend doing that, but that's what works for her. And she's been doing that for 2 months. And she's like, actually, I feel so great. And maybe her sleep could use a little improvement, but she's been doing it, and that's what's working for her right now. So it doesn't have to be what it looks like for everyone else. What is realistic for you? It could be morning, it could be afternoon. If you work from home, I work from home. Sometimes I work out in the afternoon. It's just really kind of reevaluating all of the things that you think that you should be doing them a certain way. And really kind of, I'll give you an example. My movement practice back in the day when it teetered on the line of obsessive is I forced myself to go to the gym every day. Did I like it? Yes, I did. But I thought I had to do, and 45 minutes of cardio. I thought I also had to do strength training. I would do arms and abs. I would do back. I would do abs. I would do legs. And I made sure that I'd went every day to specifically do these things. And I did all the classes and the spin. And then when I had my daughter, I was like, this is one, not realistic for me anymore. I can't be going to the gym for an hour, hour and a half, like all these different workout classes. And I didn't want to. I was like, I don't want to get up at 6 a.m. and go to the gym and then rush back to get her ready. And, it didn't feel good for me anymore. So then I quit doing all of that. And now 6 years later, I roll out my yoga mat straight out of bed, literally in pajamas, like hair a mess. And I do 15 minutes, 20 max of a yoga Pilates flow on my phone. That's it. That's all I do. And now I'm testing out going back to the gym again and going slow because there's, the line and just seeing what feels good. And so it's reevaluating all the shoulds and the shouldn'ts. What is going to work for you? And so a small thing could be maybe you get a yoga mat. If you already have a yoga mat, maybe you find a workout that feels good to test out. Maybe it's yoga, maybe it's Pilates, maybe it's strength training, get some weights at home. It's really finding those steps that feel good. And some of that is a practice. If anybody wants to put in the chat too, let me check the chat. If you want to type in here, I can help you kind of workshop it, really. I don't have kids, so probably why I need more noise. Yes, you can borrow mine. You can borrow mine. So really just thinking about these small things that you can do that you can add on top of each other. So has everybody written a couple things that you can do that really realistically fit into your schedule that will ultimately get you to your goal? Shake of the head, yes, no. Okay, perfect. If you need help like figuring it out, I can help you. Just put it in the chat. And then once you have this, you're really going to, and this is the piece that I think a lot of wellness professionals or experts miss is this is the bridge. This next piece is the bridge to getting you where you want to go. And we all have this sense of inner wisdom. We have intuition. If you have kids, you see this in your kids. They just know. They know when they're full. They know what they want to eat. They know when to stop. They know. And there's this, conditioning that we have over, and no matter what, every single human has this. It could be trauma. It could be the way you were raised and the things you were told and the narratives. It can be so many different things, but we disconnect that bridge. And then into our adult life, we don't think that we know what's best for us. And we look to the outside world. And we live in a very noisy outside world where there's constantly things telling us what we need to eat, what supplements we need to take, how we need to move, the calories we need to burn, the mindfulness practices that we should do, how we should be thinking, what we should be working on. The outside world tells us how we should run our life. And that is where the problem is, because when you don't have the connection to the other side, how are you going to get to the other side? You can try swimming, but you're probably going to sink. And that's the whole New Year's resolution thing, is really it's reconnecting the bridge. And you can reconnect the bridge by learning how your body specifically communicates with you, what you need to eat, what you need to move, what you need to think, what the narrative is that you have around your life. And two of the core things, and Allison, you've probably heard me talk about this, the two of the core questions that I use in my own life that I teach every single person I work with is bumpering your choices. So I call it bumpering your choices. And you ask, what do I need right now? And you can apply this to anything in your life. It can be food. What do I need right now? It can be movement. What do I need right now? It can be relationships. What do I need right now? It can be work, projects. Like if you're like, do I take on this project? Do I not? What do I need right now? And so that question can really start to help you. And then you listen and that takes practice. And it's really starting to understand the difference between needs and wants. And a lot of people, when I talk about this, are like, well, and it's specifically around food. Well, I really want the ice cream. I'm like, great, that's great. I have ice cream sometimes too. But is that what you need right now? Sometimes, sure, maybe you need a little sweet. But what you need right now is often very different from what you want. And that's the difference in our intuition. Our intuition tells us what we need, not what we want. And sometimes we don't want to hear what it has to say. And so we just go with what we want, anyways, because that's not what we want. And so it's really understanding that our needs and our wants are different. And when you start to listen to what you truly need, you start to slowly rebuild the bridge. And it really is a practice. It is one brick at a time and it takes time. It is not a quick fix solution. But if you want to actually get to the other side of feeling your best, feeling energized, feeling confident, feeling strength, feeling like you know what's best for you, then it's worth practicing. And I mean, I use this question literally every day. I open the refrigerator. I'm like, what do I need right now for lunch? And I'm like, And I look at what I've got and I'm like, that. And I'm just so naturally guided towards something, one thing. And that's what I have. And it really is a practice. And when you can really compound that and you ask it with everything, and I challenge you all to ask that question throughout your entire day for the rest of today, for tomorrow, for the week, test it out and see if there's anything that you're like, oh, well, I wouldn't have normally chose that, but that's what I'm being told right now that I kind of need. That's what I'm being like leaning towards. And you really, it's like that. Not everyone gets that gut feeling. That's where I get mine. I get mine in my gut. I get that like, ugh, that's what I need. And sometimes it's like a verbal, like, ooh, yeah. So just listen to your body of like how it's communicating with you. And then once you have the thing, once you have the food, once you have the workout, once you get in the relationship, take on the project, how did that feel for you? And that those questions together can really start to help you reconnect the bridge and rebuild it. And when you ask, how did that feel for me? Okay, say you went to the spin class and you're like, how did that feel for me? You're like, actually, I feel completely exhausted. Maybe that's not what you needed. Maybe you needed something more slow. Women's bodies go through cycles in the month, and we're not supposed to be doing the same exact workout or eating the same exact thing every single day. It's just not how we're made. And so it's listening to what you truly need and how it truly feels for you, because that is the missing piece in the wellness world. That is the missing piece that we're not really taught how to do, because we've lived a lifetime of diet culture and being told the diets and the detoxes and the supplements and this workout that burns X amount of calories and this pill's gonna take care of it all. And we're really fed all of these narratives that everything outside of us can tell us what we need and work for us, when that is complete opposite of what actually works. Sure, they might work short term, they're not going to work long term. So if you're truly looking for long term solutions, you have to reconnect the bridge. And so those questions, what do I need right now? How did this make me feel? And I honestly ask myself this all day long. Work projects. I'll take on work projects and I'm like, oh, I'm like kind of feeling a little like, do I do this one? Do I not? And as entrepreneurs, like you kind of have to pick and choose. You can't do all of it. And sometimes, it's especially as you're building your business, you choose the things that you're like, well, I should do this. And then once you do it, you're like, it did not feel good. I shouldn't have done it. And you didn't listen to yourself. And I do that too. Like we all do it, but it's just use that as a lesson, not a punishment. If you don't do the thing you really felt like you needed and you went the opposite direction, that's okay. Just do it again next time. Ask the questions, listen to the guidance. And this is the crucial piece. If I could just talk about this for this whole hour, I totally would. So really, really bumpering your choices with those questions. And then once you rebuild the bridge, you can really get to the other side. And the other side is creating habits that fit into your life. And once you get there, that is really simple, because you've already you already know what works for you. You're building this, when you ask those questions, you're building this Rolodex of all of the foods that feel really good for you, all of the foods that don't feel good for you, all of the movements that feel good, all the ones that don't, all of the relationships that feel good, all the ones that don't, the projects, etc. You can expand this to your entire life. So it's really, you create this book, this Rolodex of everything that feels good and everything doesn't. So when you get to a decision, you're like, okay, this is going to feel good. This is it. This is how I'm going to decide. And you let that guide your decision instead of the mind being like, you should be doing this, or you shouldn't be doing this, or you should eat this, or you shouldn't eat that. Let it be more intuitively body led. And then you can really just create this simplicity, and creating habits is super realistic after that. And it really is simple. It takes time and it takes practice to build, but it really, once you connect the bridge, it really is simple. And before you've connected the bridge, I completely understand. People are like, it is not simple. I'm like, no, no, no. It is very simple, but it's not easy. It takes a practice, and simple and easy are two completely different things. It is not easy. I agree with that, but it is very simple. It is really just truly understanding what works for you and what doesn't, and then doing the things that work for you, but more than you do the things that don't. And that's not to say that you won't ever do the things that don't feel good. Of course you will. We're all human. If I do too. But it's listening, and like I said with the ice cream example, it's if you're like, okay, I feel like I do really want ice cream right now and I feel like I need it. You can have it, but then you're more intuitively led to when to stop, how much to have. Like it becomes more natural and it becomes more default. And I know if you're in a place where you're like, I don't have any healthy habits that really feel good for me. I need to reevaluate all of my habits. It's hard to see it this way, but I promise you, it's just about trust. And it's about trust in yourself. I had a call with someone recently and she was like, I I don't know if I can do it. And I was like, I completely understand because I was there. I was like, I had this sense of I just have to stop doing all of these things that I should doing and shouldn't be doing and just listen to myself. And I was like, that was scary because the unknown is scary. And going from listening to everyone else, going to listen to yourself is a very hard thing to do. But once you start doing it, it becomes more natural and it becomes simple. And it really just everything in your life, when you practice with food, even all of the other areas of your life improve because you start adapting that into the other aspects of life. Okay, that was a lot. Does anyone have questions? Let me check oh, we do have some questions. Let's see. Short Peloton apps, they work best before the shower in the morning, but still go, okay, great. Yes. Something that's hard for me to keep. One is keeping my space organized and clean. Oh, yes. Okay. I feel this one. I'm hoping I can make a daily habit so it's not so overwhelming. This one it's hard for me because I very much need a clean and peaceful environment for my brain to work properly. So something that, and I have 3 kids and toys are constantly everywhere and it drives me mad. So something that and I don't know if you have kids, Alex, but bins, getting like bins and just collecting things, at least a tidier space has helped me tremendously. And now everything in my house is in a bin. And at the end of the day, if the kids haven't cleaned up their stuff, I just go in and I throw everything in a bin. And then it's at least out of the way. And if I don't have time to clean up from the bin, then it just sits in the bin and it's fine. But a tidy environment is also extremely important for me. Start my mornings not worrying about the rest of the day is something I absolutely need to work towards. Been practicing drinking my coffee, sitting calmly in a chair, but it's not consistent. So um Banyan and Birch, whatever your name is, doing something like you could close your eyes, you could take 3 deep breaths, kind of creating a mindfulness practice, even if it's around sitting in your coffee, sitting or in your chair, calmly drinking your coffee, creating something that brings you into the now, into the present. It could be literally putting your hands on your legs and like feeling your pants or your skin or your robe or whatever you're in, and just kind of breathing. Honestly, you could meditate, you could journal, bringing something into that you could do now that really has you kind of sit with what's happening for you at the moment. Okay, let me just rest like time. Okay, I'm going to keep going because we have a few more things. I don't want to have to rush you guys. So integrating it realistically. this was a lot and it may be a slightly different approach than you've heard before. So, how can you actually put this into your life in a way that actually works for you? Is forgetting all the shoulds and the shouldn'ts. Really, like forgetting all of the things that the influencers and the celebrities that you admire do, forgetting all the things that your coworkers do, maybe even forgetting all of the things that you're doing right now because you should be doing them. You can do, this is something I do with some of my clients. You can do like an audit of your habits, write down your habits and put next to them like should be doing, shouldn't be doing, like to do. What habits are you doing in your day that you just feel like you should be doing them and that's why you're doing them? Maybe experiment with them. Maybe they don't actually feel good and you can cut them entirely. So really sort of starting to see if the habits that you're doing are because you want to do them and they feel good for you, or if you've been told you should be doing them. And something else I like to say a lot, Allison, you've probably heard me say this, is everything that you do, it gives you energy or depletes it. Everything you eat gives you energy or depletes it. Every way you move gives you energy or depletes it. Every relationship you're in gives you energy or depletes it. You can, again, apply this to your entire life. This goes so far beyond. That's why I'm a certified integrative nutrition health coach, but it goes so far beyond nutrition that I don't like saying that because people think I'm a nutritionist and I'm not. And it's just it really expands to every single area of your life so simply when you practice one area. And so just start to ask, like, is this habit something that's giving me energy or is it not? And if it doesn't, maybe you can get rid of it. Maybe you can't, maybe you minimize it. So it's just sort of like playing around with it and seeing what's working. Staying consistent but flexible is one of my favorite things to talk about because they can work together and they can coexist. And I think when we think about consistency, we think about showing up 100% of the time, 100% of the days. And that's not what consistency is. Consistency is just showing up. And some days that is showing up 1%. And tomorrow that's showing up 100%. And then the next day it's 10%. It's just showing up. It's just asking yourself those questions, tapping into the answer and showing up in that way. And that's it. I moved apartments this weekend with 3 kids and I think had 30,000 steps every day. That was my movement. I didn't need to do more, but that was my consistency with my movement practice. Is it doesn't have to mean I roll out my mat and do 15 minutes of yoga in the middle of a move. That doesn't have to mean perfection. It's not perfect. It's showing up in a way that fits your real life, but you're still showing up. And then really, this is kind of another piece I think that I differ a lot from a lot of people is think about your goal. So more movement, more protein. What is the feeling that you're really looking to achieve by reaching that goal? Not just the movement practice. Like what, for me, my movement practice, why I do it is because it gives me energy and strength. I want to show up because I need energy. I need energy in the morning. And the days that I don't move, I'm tired, I'm groggy, I'm cranky. And I notice this very clearly now. And when I'm on edge, I'm like, oh, maybe I didn't meditate. Meditation and movement for me are like my number 2 priorities, top 2. And if I don't do them, I'm moody. And I'm impatient and I snap at my kids more. And so it's really, I do those things so I can feel centered, so I can feel energized. So think about, and you can write this down on your roadmap, on your action plan. So let that feeling drive your decisions. Let that feeling drive your habits because it's not about the movement at the end of the day. It's about how that movement is making you feel. It's not about the protein at the end of the day. It's about how that protein is filling you up so you feel nourished. So really kind of thinking about it in that way will really help you decide when you get to that place of I'm tired and I don't want to move. Okay, well, how do I want to feel right now? What is a way I can show up for myself consistently that feels good for me right now? Maybe it's going for a walk. Like it can be consistent and still be flexible. And then you just start to notice the ripple effect when you start to practice these things. And I know this was a lot. So if you're like, I don't feel good in my body right now, I want to like start from scratch, then I would say start connecting with what truly feels good for you. Start asking those questions. What do I need right now? How does this make me feel? That's it. Start there. And then you can do these other things and you can really build from there because it all starts to affect everything. It starts to affect the people in your life. It starts to affect your relationships. When I started really honing in on my mindfulness practice, I mean, my relationship with my husband got better. I'm a better mom. I show up better in my business. I'm more creative. Like all of these things just started kind of compounding and flowing into the next thing. Okay, we made it. I know I talked for a very long time, but I wanted to make sure I got through it all. So I would love to know what your number one takeaway. What will you take away from this presentation? I know there was a ton of information, maybe slightly different than you've heard before. So it might be a bit of an overload, but we recorded this so you guys can watch it again. But I would love to know, what is your number one takeaway? What are you going to walk away with? Forget the should. That's a good one. It's a very good one. But second, just start small. Yep. And just celebrating your wins too. Like you start small and you're like, I did it. This is great. It doesn't have to be this whole overhaul and this whole big thing. So you really think about, you think about like why reach the goal? Like it's about how you feel along the way, right? So it's let that drive your decisions, and like the wellness pairings and how to pair and what to pair, like let the feeling of what you want to achieve drive the goal. Really. We are big on celebrating small wins over here. Yes. Amazing. Okay, awesome. So if you guys want to stay in my community, if you want, I've got a bunch of resources for you. Allison is in my email community. I love, love, love writing my email every week. It's called the Thrive Tribe. And if you scan this QR code, you can come into my world, get on the list. When you do that, you will get so I have a really simple grocery list where you can like pick and choose things that you can create really simple, healthy meals, because I think simplicity is like literally the basis of it all. Because if meal planning is not simple or cooking is not simple, you're not going to do it. Same for me. If it's not simple, I'm like, nope, I'm not making that 45-minute casserole that looks delicious, but like not happening. I'm gonna go out to a restaurant and order that instead. And then you also get access to my private podcast is only accessible via the Thrive Tribe. It's called Simply Wealthy. It's like kind of a mini series podcast. There's 8 episodes. They're all under 10 minutes. It's like very bingeable. And then I have loads of resources, guides, tips, tools, all of the things. And I actually have a really awesome giveaway bundle that I'm putting together right now that is launching in March. And my email list will be the first to know. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be, there's not like just a few winners. It's really going to be, once you opt in, you get access to all of the there's like 20 or so resources from chefs and meal kit services and health coaches, and there's like it's insane. There's tons of stuff in there. So get on the list is what I'm saying. Okay, give me all your questions. If you guys have any questions, any takeaways, anything you want to pick my brain about, I'm here.
Lindsey, we're a little short on time, but this has been amazing. There is one question that was lingering in the chat that maybe we can just pull up before we sign off. Alex had asked about, where'd it go? Or Alex, feel free to unmute and ask your question. It was about taking breaks from the routine.
Yeah, I said when I was doing like cross country in high school and college, we would run every day except for one day a week, which was usually like Sunday. But I was wondering how like you think about having like a day off from some of your habits and how that affects your, I don't know, mentality around building them.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll give you an example of my movement practice. So I do my like yoga flow right out of bed 5, sometimes 6 days a week, depending on the weekends. And then my movement practice on the weekends is being outside with the kids, is running around after them, is playing tennis, is going for a walk. Just looks different. And so thinking about it like that it is important to give your body a break. In in a way that feels really good for you. So kind of thinking about the structure of if you're running every day, is that feeling good for you, or are your muscles like begging for a break or something different on on some days? And so maybe that rest day is a rest day. If you're running every day, if you're training for marathons, if you're running long distance, you have to have a rest. Your muscles need recovery time. They may need more time than that. And so it's really just kind of thinking about it in what can a rest day look like without being like I'm quitting today. If that makes sense? Did that answer your question? Okay, great. Amazing.
Lindsey,
Awesome. Well,
thank you so much. This has
yeah,
been
of
such a pleasure.
course.
I
This was
encourage
so
everyone to
fun. I love
connect.
chatting about all of this. You guys have been a great little group. Yeah, if you want to connect with me, this is all my info. Feel free to shoot me an email if you have more personal questions, or hop over to social, hang out there sometimes.
Perfect.
Mostly on Instagram. I don't really do the TikTok thing, but I'm on there, just not consistently.
Totally fair. Thank you so much, Lindsey. Thank you everyone for joining us. We will get the recording out, all of this contact information, some downloads, and looking forward to keeping each other accountable and implementing some of these amazing tips.
Thank you guys so much. It was my pleasure.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.